They were all fighting for the wheel of Mads Pedersen. But then at the last part of his lead out, with about 150 meters before he dropped off Mads Pedersen, he had the ability to accelerate still, which was the key, in my opinion, to win for Pedersen, because that really took care of the fight in Mads Pedersen's wheel. And there was nobody next to Mads Pedersen. They were at his wheel. And once Pedersen goes, that's already a bike length. And to make up that bike length against Pedersen with 250 meters to go is very difficult, as we all know. So, my conclusion of the day is that Lidl-Trek is the team of the beginning of this Giro, by far the most impressive one.
Everybody, welcome back to the Move Plus. We are breaking down stage 3 of the Giro d'Italia. I'm Spencer Martin. I'm here with Johan Bruyneel. We're going to get his take on Mads Pedersen's second stage win in 3 days, taking back the leader's jersey. Corbin Strong coming in second, and Ular from Movistar coming in third. Johan, what the day? I'll just quickly recap the day. It was 160 kilometers, last day in Albania. Stunning scenery, we should say. That's the real winner of this day, was the scenery of mountainous Albania. It was kind of, you would look at these results and say, well, it's a group of 85 riders, so it's a sprint stage. Can that be right? I don't know. It seemed like less than that, but there was a hard climb with topped out around 40K to go. Lidl-Trek paced on it. UAE comes over the top, controls things, just seems like they want to be in the front for the descent. There was kind of a mild split on the descent, so that was important. And then Lidl-Trek easily pulls in the riders who attacked on that final climb, set up a sprint. Great lead out from Matthias Weicek. Mads Pedersen wins just barely over Corbin Strong from Israel Premier Tech. Pretty impressive ride from Strong, even though he didn't win. But what are you thinking about Mads Pedersen taking? It's a win-win for everybody. Mads Pedersen's happy because he won. He's got the leader's jersey. Primož Roglič is happy. He does not have the leader's jersey anymore. It seems like everybody is happy after this stage. But what was your main takeaways?
Yeah, I think the stage played out the way we thought it would play out. That in the sense that the real sprinters got dropped, mainly Caden Grove, Sam Bennett, Olaf Koy, and others. And I think that was obviously the intention of Lidl-Trek. And on top of that, Mads Pedersen yesterday after the time trial, as soon as he lost the pink jersey, he made it clear in his interview that their goal was to win the stage and take the jersey back today. He also gave an interview before the stage today where, he didn't really know if he was going to make it with the first guys over the last climb, but at least he felt confident enough that his team would reel around him and bring him back to be in a position to win the stage or to sprint for the stage. And even for Mats, if he didn't win, if he got second or third, he would still be in pink, right? So I think it was straightforward. I have to say, though, hats off to Lidl-Trek. They are riding incredibly strong. For sure, they have focused on the beginning of the Giro. They know that these 3 stages, or at least the two stages, stage 1 and stage 3 in Albania, were very, very beneficial for Pedersen. It's not real sprint stages, which is his preferred terrain. But man, the way they controlled and the way especially they controlled the final of the race is impressive. Stage 1 was impressive today. In my opinion, was even more impressive. They still had 5 guys there on the last climb. And then, I've said it already in stage 1, but this guy, Matthias Weicek, is incredible. The way he took over in the last kilometer, I think he got in the front with about 800 meters to go. He took over from Ciccone. You would say 800 meters is a long way to the finish for one rider. And, he did it perfectly. He set a very fast tempo. There was nobody coming really to fight for position. They were all fighting for the wheel of Mads Pedersen. But then at the last part of his lead out, with about 150 meters before he dropped off Mads Pedersen, he had the ability to accelerate still, which was the key, in my opinion, to win for Pedersen, because that really took care of the fight in Mads Pedersen's wheel. And there was nobody next to Mads Pedersen. They were at his wheel. And once Pedersen goes, that's already a bike length. And to make up that bike length against Pedersen with 250 meters to go is very difficult, as we all know. So, my conclusion of the day is that Lidl-Trek is the team of the beginning of this Giro, by far the most impressive one.
They're incredible. I mean, the vibes in the team must be amazing. You can almost feel it exuding out of them. And yesterday we were talking about, why did Dan Uhl and Matthias Weitschek go so hard in the time trial? Mm-hmm. Maybe they were just warming up. Maybe they didn't go there. Maybe they held back and they still almost won, because they get to that climb and Uhl starts the climb. It's just a casual 473 watts. You can see it on the screen, and the climb is harder to manage than you'd think, because they have to go hard enough to deter attacks, but not so hard that they drop their own guys.
Yeah, no, it was a hard climb. I mean, listen, 10.5 kilometers at 7.5% average. That's not an easy climb. I would have even expected that the group was, there were little groups came back, right? But listen, nobody was at ease on that climb. Nobody. We saw how Wout van Aert got dropped with about 3 kilometers into the climb. So it's clear that Wout hasn't started this Giro at his best. So the news that he was sick is definitely having an impact on his condition. Knowing him, he will fight through this and he will get better with the days. But today was not his day. He said after the stage that he felt he was not going to make it, so he prefers to really take it conservatively and just try to get better. I think he already felt that after yesterday's time trial. He was extremely disappointed after the time trial yesterday, and actually accepted that the illness has gotten to him and that he's not firing on all of his cylinders.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting worse every day, I guess, which would speak to being sick. But I mean, think about stage one. That was so hard and didn't get dropped. And then the time trial was disappointing. Not terrible, though. To finish where he did in the time trial, you got to be doing pretty well. But he's kind of lucky here because he's got a rest day tomorrow. Stage 4 sprint stage, so he can go as hard or easy as he wants. Stage 5 uphill finish. He's not going to contest that. Stage 6, another sprint stage. Stage 7, summit finish. And then he might not even be called back on duty until stage 8. So with a rest day in there. So it's kind of, there's hope for him to rally here. Yeah,
for sure. But other than that, it was the typical stage, breakaway of 6 riders. We saw straight away that Lidl-Trek and Redbull-Hansgrohe controlled with one guy only. I think this was, we spoke about this, and do gentlemen's agreements still exist between teams who have a common interest? I'm going to say yes. If we look at this picture here, there is a conversation going on between the two teams, between Lidl-Trek and Red Bull. And for sure, this is just something that they're discussing during the race. This is at the end of the stage, but there was an agreement made on beforehand, in the sense that Pedersen wanted to win or wanted the jersey back, and Primoz wanted to get rid of the jersey. And then you would say, well, okay, if they want to get rid of the jersey, why do they help? Right? This is a bit contradictory, but the way this works, it's quite classic. If you look at a stage and you have the leader's jersey and you want to avoid to work for the whole stage just by yourself, this is what Red Bull did. They started straight away as soon as those 6 guys were up the road. Straight away they started to set a tempo, and with the help of Lidl-Trek, because this has been agreed before, but still, you never let the breakaway get more or less 3 minutes. This way, you make sure that there's always going to be, in the second part of the stage, teams who see an opportunity to win the stage. If, for example, Red Bull says, okay, you know what, we don't care about the breakaway. Let them take 6, 7, 10 minutes. There's nobody in those 6 guys who is a threat for GC in week 3, right? You could say, okay, let them take 10 minutes. Then you get to a situation where all of a sudden none of the teams is interested anymore because they have gone too far away already, and you're still with your team, having to set the tempo probably slower than usual, but riding for 160 kilometers just with 3 or 4 of your guys wears you out. So the trick is to go hard from the beginning, or harder, and make sure that the breakaway always feels within reach for the other teams. And there's going to come a point where other teams are going to join you. In this case, it's maybe not an ideal day to talk about this, because it's clear that this agreement between Lidl-Trek and Red Bull was agreed on beforehand. They've talked on beforehand. And so I think it's a win-win, because to control the breakaway of 6 riders, they only used 1 rider each. I don't remember who it was in Red Bull. It was Moscon, right? And I think in Lidl-Trek it was Jacopo Mosca, the freshly. He has a fresh haircut. I don't know if you saw that, Spencer. Got a fresh haircut after stage 1. Apparently there was a bet. And Mosca must have promised that if the team or Pedersen won stage 1, they could shave his head. And what they did, shave his head, but they shaved it like just in the middle. Just so and Pedersen did it. Jacopo Mosca, by the way, is the husband of Elisa Longo Borghini, who was unbelievably watching on video Pedersen shaving her husband's head. So that was funny, but didn't take away any of his powers. He did a great job. So Red Bull and Lidl-Trek, they used 1 guy to keep this breakaway within reach. So that was fine. And then, once you're there, you keep it at 3 minutes. You don't actually have to increase the speed that much to bring it back, because once you get to the difficult parts, the nervousness of the race and the stress of the race automatically increases the speed naturally of the peloton. And they got within 1 minute without even chasing. So as soon as that happened, we all knew that what was going to happen, that the breakaway was not going to make it to the finish, and that Lidl-Trek was going to take control. And they did on that Cat 2 climb. Once again, they really took control. And I guess their pace is probably dictated by Mads Pedersen. Whatever he feels, I'm not going to say comfortable, but uncomfortably at ease, I would say. He knows that pace is too hard for the sprinters. They all got dropped, and he was still there. He's also suffering. Pedersen needs to be suffering a bit for the other guys to drop, but they did it perfectly.
Yeah. Just to recap, because you could imagine someone saying, why is Red Bull working? It's a waste of energy. Don't waste your energy. This is a long race. Why do they care at all? It's like, well, it's like a bank loaning a company a bunch of money. Yeah. If they loan it so much money and then it goes bankrupt, the bank's going to care. Red Bull is the major creditor here. If the gap goes out to 25 minutes, we've seen it happen. Like we've seen teams lose Grand Tours because breakaways get out of hand. It's way easier. They use 1 rider to keep it close. It keeps other teams incentivized to chase. Yeah. You end up using less total energy. So you save energy by doing it. It's completely logical. It makes sense. It's not like, oh, they're not respecting the jersey. They're just trying to save energy, and that's what they're doing. Yeah. On the final climb, it's got to be hard, but not so hard that you drop the lead out. But we should say Mads Pedersen. Oh man, he's good. Like, I'm sure he was hurting, but like, just to give people perspective, like when Dan Hoole's doing 475 watts at the start of that climb, like on the 12% gradient, even at Dan Hoole's weight, that's still about 6 watts per kilo. And that's just what they're starting at, like medium hard pace. Yeah. So that's really difficult.
Yeah, no, it is difficult. And, I want to take advantage of this piece of information, Spencer, the 475 watts of Dan Hoole to talk about. There's comments about, why does nobody attack? Why do they bring Lidl-Trek to the finish without making it difficult? There's certain people who give their opinion on social media. There's this a few, but one in particular. I call these people the keyboard PlayStation gamer.
Easy now. Let's keep it simple.
Okay, keyboard PlayStation gamer couch potato directors. And they think they give their expert opinion, and about tactics of teams, calling everybody who doesn't try losers directly. They call them losers, or this guy calls them losers. This is a 3-week stage race. It's a 3-week effort. And on top of that, if you look at this specific stage, you see how hard this climb is. You have a guy like Dan Hoel, who's not even the strongest of his team. He's the 5th strongest of the team. There's 4 guys who are still stronger and who will increase the pace whenever they have the pace whenever they have to. You can try whatever you want. I mean, it's still 40 kilometers to go. So if you know on beforehand that Pedersen needs to be in contention for the sprint, whether he wins the stage or not, most likely if the sprinters are dropped, is going to be top 3 and take the jersey. This was the main goal. Why would you waste energy on this climb if you know that with 40K to go, you are never going to make it? You're never going to make it. So you need to wait, save energy. It's day 3. It's 3 weeks. Anybody who has ridden a bike several days in a row knows that the fatigue accumulates. And so I can't understand why certain people say, why don't they attack? They don't ride to win. They're losers. Why doesn't why doesn't Red Bull attack or make it hard on Juan Ayuso? I've seen somewhere they called him the ropey leader of UAE. Ropey means like not very good. There's no GC rider who's going to get dropped on this climb. And even if he gets dropped, he's going to make it back. If somebody gets dropped, it's because he has a problem. He is either ill or he has been in a crash.
Yeah, you would have to be sick to get dropped here. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you were GC leader, not any rider.
Well, I could see at the end of this climb, UAE, they were pretty comfortable. They made the climb. They finished on in front. They had 4 riders around their ropey leader, Juan Ayuso, and they looked pretty good. Today, they looked a lot more organized, by the way, than on stage 1. So, it just doesn't make sense. You have to see the stages the way they are. You have to know what their objectives are, and you have to accept that there's in certain occasions there's just nothing you can do. You can't attack for the sake of attacking and putting on a show. I mean, they're all professional riders. They're all professional teams who have sponsors who pay a lot of money. And there's basically no teams of relevance in the Giro who attack for TV time. Those are the invited teams, right? Like the Bardiani or whatever they call the
But those guys.
They cannot do the damage on these stretches of the course. So it makes no sense, So I just wanted to get that off my chest. I've been called an old guy who wants to stay relevant. Anyways, no, I don't care. I think what I say is backed up by a lot of people within pro cycling who know a little bit about bike racing, and I still consider myself to know a little bit about bike racing too.
And like these stages are mirages. You look at the stage, you look at that climb, it's too far from the finish. Like anyone that is anybody in the GC is going to catch back on because their whole team's going to drop back to pace them, even if they get dropped. And I mean, we should say like people that watch cycling and they have opinions about it. That's fantastic. Everyone should be posting, but of course, I just want to encourage everyone. And I did this before this episode. If you say, oh, wow, this is boring, why is no one attacking? We actually should say Pella Babao and Fortunato, Lorenzo Fortunato attacked. Like, that's awesome for them. They tried.
Two very strong climbers who went, with the ambition to stay ahead. They had no chance, 0 chance.
Yeah, and it's what Lidl-Trek wants because they go over the top of the climb with about 45 seconds. So that means no one's going to attack from the peloton because unless they can bridge that gap, they need to pull them in before they can attack. And it's not so far that Lidl-Trek's not going to reel them in before the finish. Just a perfect scenario for Lidl-Trek. They probably wanted that to happen. But you have to remember, like if Dan Hool's doing 6 watts per kilos, if you're a lighter rider, you need to do well more than 6 watts per kilos because they're not racing up 90% gradients. Like watts per kilos isn't some magic number. Like if it's 7%, you're going to have to go like 6.3, 6.4, 6.5. So I went out before this and I said, okay, I'm going to do 6.5 watts per kilo for as long as I can do it. And then, you know what? It's pretty hard, Johan.
How long did you last?
Oh, I mean, maybe 3 minutes. Like
okay. That's already impressive.
It's shocking. Yeah. If I had to go 7 watts per kilo, I might be like sprinting for a minute and a half, 2 minutes. Like it's people forget like, why is no one attacking?
That's my frustration, you know, that there's people who are out there and especially, you know, it's not just, okay, you can give your opinion, but don't call these teams losers. You know, they are professional riders. These people have no idea how hard it is, how hard pro cycling is, what it feels to suffer on a bike. And when listen, Wout van Aert got dropped with 7K to go. He's not just anyone, you know, he is a damn good bike rider. So if this guy gets dropped, how will you attack as a team to put whatever Juan Ayuso in problems? No way. You know, there's no way.
Yeah. And I mean, I just saw people, and this is the worst content you could ever do. I saw people on Twitter saying this, but just, why isn't Q36.5 pressing the issue? It's like, well, because they can't, because Lidl-Trek is strong. They're one of the strongest teams on this climb. So no one can go press the issue. Pidcock
made an attempt, but, you know, by himself, where is he going to go? There's nowhere. You know, Pidcock can be the best rider in the world. He's not going anywhere. So
it's like running away from a prison that's on an island in the middle of the ocean. Like you can't go anywhere. They have you sequestered. But you know what, Johan, this is a perfect opportunity to talk about our new partner, Join Cycling. These guys are pretty strong to be able to do these wattages on the climbs. You'd imagine they're pretty good. They probably trained, I guess, to get that fast. And guess what? You can all train too, and you're in luck because Join Cycling is offering every listener of The Move 30 days free. Join is a dynamic cycling training app that creates personalized, flexible training plans based on your goals, fitness level, and weekly availability. It adapts in real time when your schedule changes, helping you stay on track and get faster without overtraining. The real time dynamic changes it can make are big because if you're traveling, like it's just not realistic to stick to a rigid training plan all the time. I'm pretty bad at it generally, but you know, if you go to Austin for an event and maybe you only have time for a run that day, they also do running. So you can say, okay, I had a 2-hour ride planned, but I only have 30 minutes to run. Generate me a new workout, and it will change your workout and give you a 30-minute run. It's super helpful. And then you can just export that run to your Garmin head unit, your watch, and then it's right there on your head unit. You just have to follow the steps. I'd be lying if I said I'm the world's best trainer step follower, but I have been using Join, and I've been noticing that it is a lot easier to stay on top of things, especially with the dynamism helps a lot. Because if you have a 2-hour ride and you're like, I don't have time for that, you probably just won't ride at all, versus just being able to say, I need to run, and then it gives you a run. It's really helpful. It's built by pro-level coaches and trusted by riders around the world who want to train smarter, not just harder. The interface is incredibly clean and the plans are clear. The Move listeners, as I said, get 30 days for free. The link to access that free trial is join.cc/themove. That's join.cc/themove, spelled out like THEMOVE. And that link is in the show notes. Johan, any more thoughts on this stage? As you said, UAE looked pretty strong at the top of that climb. I kind of thought they might have, maybe they will have problems later in this race, but almost like a chilling display. I was thinking, wow, Roglic is in for a fight here.
I think it was purely out of safety to be in front, to be at the front of the peloton in the beginning of the downhill. You never know what's going to happen. So it was more out of precaution. Yeah, I mean, what else? The fact that Primoz is probably also very happy to not have the jersey right now. You know, no press conference, no. If you're in pink, or if you're in the leader, you have a guaranteed doping control every day. It's just time. You know, the press, the podium, doping control. It's an extra hour at least, sometimes longer. So that's obviously a benefit. Plus the fact that I think Pedersen and Lidl-Trek, they will probably be a few days in pink. They will do everything they can to keep that, and it might be until stage 6 or 7. So it's 3 days of benefit, and for sure there's some kind of agreement that say, okay, we guys help you get the jersey. You guys need to compromise that you're going to defend it as long as you can, and if needed, we're going to give you a little hand. We're going to put one guy if it gets out of control. We will see that in some stages now, the 3 next stages, when there's a breakaway and Lidl-Trek all of a sudden runs out of people, there's going to be a Red Bull coming to the rescue.
Is this technically sporting fraud? Perhaps, but it's smart. And
I don't think it is. I've
thought about this a lot. If you read the UCI rules, it's not clear that you're actually supposed to help other teams.
Well, you're defending your own interest, because if a breakaway goes, you never know what's going to happen. So if it doesn't stay within reach, or it doesn't stay within reach of your own objective, as even if you're not in the lead in the leader's jersey, you still have to manage the difference with breakaways, thinking about week 3. So no, it's absolutely not sporting fraud, but these kind of internal agreements, it's, they have the same interests. Sometimes you see the same thing. If it's a sprint stage and there's one clear favorite sprinter, then you'd say, why would these other teams, the team 2 and 3 with the sprinter who is less of a favorite, why would they work together? Well, first of all, to have a chance to come to a sprint, you need to be all together. The breakaway cannot be in front. So if the team of the big favorite sprinter can't do it, there's going to be help from other teams.
Yeah. I'm still suing Wout van Aert in Belgian court for giving away 2023 Gent-Wevelgem. That was disgusting display of sporting fraud. And I'm owed restitution for that. But yeah, I thought UAE looked great. Red Bull, this is a great situation for them. Great situation. It's the best situation possible, because now they don't have to do anything on stage 4. We'll preview these other stages when we get there, but I'm curious to see how they play out. There's one more thing we wanted to mention. Astana. Do you want to talk about that right now? Probably, because we're going to go into the preview for the next stage.
Yeah, if you look at, Astana, but they keep accumulating points here in the Giro. Today in the race in France, last Sunday, they got 1,000 points in one day. What everybody thought was impossible before the season, they had a deficit of more than 5,000 points to remain in the World Tour. Today, they got within 4 points of not Cofidis, who we thought was going to be their main rival to stay in the World Tour, but Picnic Post NL, I think that's what they called. They changed sponsor so many times. But anyways, they're not having a good season. And Astana, I think tomorrow maybe. No, tomorrow not, because there's no race tomorrow. But the next
Astana
race
will find a race. They're going to enter a local criterium.
The next race, they will be in place 18. And Picnic Post NL, they need to turn this around. It's still possible, but I don't know with who. Romain Bardet can have a great Giro, but it's not easy. It's not going to be easy. And so this battle for the World Tour 18 spots is going on, and Astana is doing amazing. I thought initially, at the beginning of the season, they started out the first 2 months crazy, like points after, winning races, always in the top 5, sometimes 3 guys in the top 5. And I thought by myself, well, they can't keep this pace for the rest of the season. They're doing it. And it looks like they're going to stay in the World Tour. I've heard information. It's not rumors. I think it's facts that the agreement that they've signed with XDS, the Chinese carbon manufacturer, is actually dependent on their place in the World Tour. So I think it's a multi-year deal, but I think there's a provision in there that if they don't stay in the World Tour, that XDS would have the possibility to not honor the contract. So they know what they're racing for, Astana, and they're doing a very good job.
Every team should do that. It's like, sorry, if we don't finish in the top 3, sponsors pulling out, because like today's a perfect example. Fortunato attacked, he gets caught. You don't really think about Astana for the rest of the day. But you look up at the end of the day, they have 45 UCI points from Scaroni in 9th and Ulissi in 12th. Picnic Postenel picks up 10. So right there, it's like on a nothing day, you're just falling behind every day. And then I've been watching these Coupe de France races, and I thought Cofidis, I was like, well, they're not doing that great. But like today they pick up 45 points at the Giro. That's good. But I thought, oh, they have all these French races. It's a lot of surface area to score points, but they've not been scoring points at all. And you know who's been scoring points at those races is Uno X. So we might have another relegation battle happening. And I thought the relegation battle was over at the beginning of the season. We might have 2 teams lose their spot.
Yeah, well, I've seen an interview of the manager of Cofidis, Cedric Vasseur, a few months ago, maybe 1.5 months ago. And he was asked, about if he was stressed out and nervous about them staying in the World Tour. And back then, they still had 2,000 points. And they were already asking the question, okay, do you think, because Astana has already made up 3,000 points of their 5,000 point deficit. And he said, no, 2,000 points is a lot. I want to hear him answer that again today. I think it's down to 400 or something now.
Yeah.
With Cofidis. So, maybe they're going to be lucky if Cofidis, if Picnic Postenel doesn't pick it up. But I'm guessing that X, I haven't looked at the exact points, but they're coming closer too. I think they're also within 500-600 points from Cofidis. So, and that's a team that they know how to execute. They have good riders and they score a lot of points sometimes.
So let's take another quick ad break, and then we will preview stage 4, which is happening. Remember, on Monday. Don't try to turn it on tomorrow. It won't be on, but we'll break right here. Everybody, this episode is brought to you by Hims. Close your eyes for a second and picture yourself 6 months from now. Does your hair look the same? Now picture it thicker, fuller, and healthier. That's what's possible with Hims. A lot can happen in 3 to 6 months. You could start a new hobby and realize you're not exactly a natural. You might knock out half your New Year's resolutions, or, hear me out, you could actually regrow your hair. Hims makes it simple with doctor-trusted, clinically proven treatments like finasteride and minoxidil, which are shown to regrow hair in as little as 3 to 6 months. You can choose from chewables, sprays, serums, whatever fits your routine best. The best part, it's 100% online, no office visits, no awkward pharmacy pickups. Just answer a few questions and a licensed provider will determine if the treatment is right for you. If it is, they'll ship it straight to your door free of charge. No insurance needed. One low price covers everything. The treatment, shipping, and ongoing medical support. Join hundreds of thousands of guys who've already trusted Hims to help them get their hair and confidence back, and look like you belong in this peloton. Because if you've not noticed, Tadej Pogacar, Wout van Aert, Matthew Van Der Poel, these guys have amazing hair. So if you want to look like them, try Hims today. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/themove. That's Hims, HIMS.com/themove for your personalized hair loss treatment options. Once again, hims.com/themove. Results vary based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride. Prescription products require an online consultation with the healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. All right, back to the show. So, Johan, stage 4, this is on Tuesday, 189 kilometer stage. We're back. We're on the mainland. We're back in Italy, or we're in Italy for the first time, finishing in Lecce. I guess the riders have taken a short flight over, and then everyone else has come with the cars on a ferry, a long ferry, longer than I thought. Apparently oceans are big. It's like 8-hour ferry, but I guess there is a categorized climb at the start, but it's a net downhill for the first 40, 50K of the stage. There's a little hill with a bonification sprint, and then it's rolling to flat all the way down to the coast for the finish, and not quite coast actually, but I think this is a sprint stage. I'll read off the odds, the favorites, and then we'll get your take on who's going to win. Olaf Koy, the favorite at plus 175. Mads Pedersen, plus 450. Sam Bennett, plus 650. Milan Freton, plus 650. Matteo Moschetti, plus 750. Paul Magnier, plus 1100. Caden Groves, plus 1600. Gerben Tyson, plus 1800. Makal Zalab, I don't know if I've ever seen this person on here, plus 2,000. Wout van Aert, plus 2,500. Ooh, tough beat for Van Aert being below Zallard. But I won't read past there. But Johan, who do you think is going to win this stage? Assuming it's
be a sprint. It's going to be a sprint stage. It's going to be a sprint stage because there's few real big sprinters and they have to seize their opportunities. The first stage 1 and stage 3, a sprinter won, but the real top sprinters were not there. So they have to go for stage 4. I think I'm going to follow the books and Olaf Koy. I think he's probably the fastest. I mean, if you look at, you have Koy, you have Sam Bennett, you have Caden Groves, who in my opinion are like the most pedigree sprinters in terms of their palmares. Then you have others who are close, and the Giro sometimes can produce some strange sprints. But I'm still going to go for Olaf Koy. What is he? Plus 150?
Plus 175.
175. So, okay.
Yeah. It's a very heavy favorite. It's the third day in a row we've seen where it was Tarling was like 125 and then Pedersen was 175 yesterday and then Koy plus 175. But one thing to note, the book's not been wrong about any of those sprinters.
No. So Olaf Koy, in my opinion, the favorite also, it doesn't look like they're going to have somebody, Simon Yates maybe, but, Visma needs to go for stage wins. And on Tuesday, this is a great opportunity for them.
Does Wout lead them out?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Probably, right? But soon he'll be well enough to do that. He could probably do that in his sleep. He will.
Wout is a great teammate, and especially when he feels like he doesn't have a chance, he's at the service of the team always.
Yes. I'm going to go Mads Pedersen. I mean, keep the vibes alive. Plus 450. I mean, this is a tough Pedersen against someone as, what did you say, the pedigree, as fast as Koy. It stretches the imagination a little bit, but we are seeing Mads Pedersen at a level I've never seen him at. I mean, certainly above even when he won the world championship. So
he's in amazing shape. He's in amazing shape. And already, I mean, I'm thinking back to Paris-Nice, Spencer. I mean, what he did in Paris-Nice was just incredible in terms of his physical fitness, the way he went uphill. Okay, on stage 4, that's not needed, but he's in great shape. And he needs to sprint. He needs to sprint because I think one of his goals in this Giro is obviously the points jersey. So he needs points.
I mean, you say it's not needed, I guess, technically, but being able to climb well is really helpful because you're less tired when you get to the sprint. So much of sprinting is about just not being as tired as the other people. Apparently, I don't know if this is true, but I heard it, so I'm going to say it. Apparently, he'd never done an altitude camp before this year, which kind of explains the jump, but I was shocked to hear that.
Has he done one this year?
I think he has.
Okay.
Yeah, and he moved to Monaco, maybe. These are all just loose rumors.
I have no idea. I don't know where he lives. But I think I saw somewhere that he was not a fan of altitude camps, that he preferred to prepare the classics the old-fashioned way.
I definitely think they help. I think that I might try one of those if I was him. But Kate, I can't believe this. Caden Groves plus 1,600. I was shocked to see that. I would have him as a wild card just because I can't believe there's a rider that good. Koy's probably a better pure sprinter, but Caden Groves wins a lot of Grand Tour stages down there in wild card money territory. So I would look at that one. Yeah,
I mean, he's won 7 Grand Tour stages already. Caden Groves. Yeah. I think he has 1 stage in the Giro and then 6 in the Vuelta. So yeah, I mean, there's not many riders in this race who have won that many stages in Grand Tours, and obviously, as we said, the top sprinters in the world are not here. My wild card is going to be Paul Magnier, young rider, French rider on Soudal Quickstep. I think he's plus 1,100, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 1100.
He's fast. The team is now completely going to be around him because, unfortunately, Mika Landa had to go home, and he will have a great lead-out guy in the American rider Luke Lamperti. You say Lamperti or Lamperti?
Oh man, I don't know.
Lamperti.
Lamperti. Luke Lamperti is probably how people say it. But yeah, because like Matthew Riccatello, I think that's how he says his name, but I actually don't think that's how his name is said in Italian. Yeah. So you get
probably would be well, I don't know. I don't know.
Like Riccatello?
Riccitello. I think it's Riccitello. It's also because it's Lecce also. It's not Lecce, the finishing place.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's Luke Lamperti.
That's good. That's perfect. Yes. I'm looking at Paul Monnier won his first race of the season, and then third, second, and then Tirreno Adriatico, big sprint. He finishes fourth behind Olaf Koy. So
yeah, well, I mean, he's young, but if you would say in week 2 or 3, I would say probably not, but he's still fresh. So young rider like that probably still has the top speed.
And Luke is a really good lead out rider. I mean, that's like
he's fast himself. I mean, he can win bunch sprints himself.
He showed up to like these are big crits. Tulsa Tough is like one of the biggest.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
Pro races in the U.S. Like I can't tell you how hard it is to even just to stay in these pelotons, and he won like in zone 2. It was unbelievable. So yeah, he's clearly a good bike handler, good sprinter, good fitness. So that's he's in good hands. But anything else on? I assume the GC won't change hands tomorrow if everything goes well. Yeah,
on Tuesday.
Sorry, Tuesday. I'm gonna already made the mistake.
Listen. It feels strange. We're on Sunday and we're talking about the rest day already tomorrow. And it's good you pointed it out, Spencer. I think earlier on I said I thought that everybody was going by ferry, but I've got some information. So the riders, 8 riders and 5 staff go by plane, and then the rest of the staff has to take care of the vehicles and go by ferry tomorrow.
Yeah, I heard how long the ferry was, and I thought I cannot imagine. Mads Pedersen at the cafeteria on the ferry. It does not seem like that's going to be how people want to spend their rest day. But
no, I had no idea it was so long.
I was shocked. Yeah, I guess it makes sense. It's kind of it's a big ocean, I guess, that you have to go across.
Well, I mean, sometimes I've taken the ferry to Mallorca sometimes from Valencia, and that's 4 hours. And it seems like close. You can basically see it from Valencia, and that's still 4 hours. So, 8 hours makes sense.
All right. Well, we won't have a show tomorrow, but we'll be back on Tuesday to break down stage 4 and predict stage 5.
Okay. Thanks, Spencer. Speak soon.
All right, bye.